Another week, another JoeZone. Can you guys believe it's the last week in July?
Last week of July.
This was the last weekend in July. I don't understand how that even worked. But it did, I guess. So, and it's been hot. I don't care where you are. Even my relatives in Maine have been complaining that it's been hot. So,
we hit 102 yesterday.
Yeah,
over in Jacksonville.
Yep, warm. So, what you got, Shane? Shane had a busy day coming back from Misery.
I was just going to say it was awful pleasant in Misery. I'm in Missouri. But it was pleasant there, ironically.
That's the same thing I call it after going through there.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Terrible.
Not great.
Not great. So, anyways, this week we are back on track with Ten Hut, and we've got Wayne Shiner with us. And you guys have all seen us hold up our posters that we got at Joe Fest and Toylanta. Sorry, the first ones were at Toylanta. And then we ran into him again at Joe Fest, and we kind of tentatively got this set up. But at the time, Wayne had told me about this upcoming project he had going on that was going to involve a Kickstarter, and we decided to wait until that was up and running so that hopefully we can give that a shot in the arm, because what he's doing is actually pretty amazing. I don't know as anybody's done it before. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. But first, I want to touch base with Wayne. Hey, Wayne, what's going on?
How you guys doing?
Good, fantastic.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you are entirely welcome, buddy. Your posters are amazing.
Thank you guys so much.
Absolutely amazing. We were floored when we saw those the first time, and
wow.
And I had to get back and buy them on the way out the door because I literally didn't want anything happening to them while I was wandering around the floor. So,
wow, I appreciate all the support and everything, guys. That's why I'm doing this.
Oh yeah, no, you got it, bud. Because this is fantastic stuff.
Thank you.
Absolutely fantastic. So, I read your bio today, and you guys know I talk to everybody beforehand. Before we don't do any of that gotcha crap, and we're not looking for doing the clickbait bit. So I checked with Wayne before bringing this up but I really. And I thank you, Wayne, for talking about this because this is an amazing thing. Tell us how you got into this and what role your mom played in that.
Well, my mother, who unfortunately passed away 23 years ago, she was for some reason really particular about my toys. For some reason, we had all my what I would call good stuff, which is what's probably sitting behind you guys right now. We kept that in my room, and then all the other stuff was kind of scattered throughout the house. And for some reason, she just always made sure I took care of everything that was important to me. Primarily, Star Wars, the GI Joes, the Legos. She wouldn't even let anybody touch those, which was cool. And she just, I don't know. One day out of nowhere, we're at the mall, and she says, "We're going to buy these action figures, but you're not going to open them." She started with these MASH figures, and I said, "What do you mean, Mom? We're not going to open them? What does that mean?" And she started to kind of ease me into that a little bit, and I was like, "All right, that's fine." I mean, I didn't really want to play with the MASH figures anyway at the time. I mean, but now I very much appreciate them. So then, one day I guess she must have read, she always reading all kinds of articles. She must have read an article somewhere, and she just was really passionate about finish off the Return of the Jedi action figure collection. Not necessarily the Power of the Force stuff, because I got into skateboards, BMX, and girls and all kinds of stuff at that point. So, I mean, exactly. It was, anyway, so she would, I remember her taking me to Toys R Us and just piling a couple things in the shopping cart, and they were on sale. They were discontinuing them. And she told me to hold on to a couple of them, and I did. And even when I went away to school, I lived in the Baltimore, Washington area, right outside of Washington, D.C. And I went to school in Savannah, Georgia. I went to Savannah College of Art and Design. She moved out of there when I was in school, and I could just care less at that point about anything. I mean, I was just completely absorbed in being a freshman in college at art school.
Right.
And she carefully packed up everything and just, I couldn't believe it. I kept all the boxes, and then I started going through the stuff. I mean, I kept it exact. I was like, even though I was still collecting like things past that,
Yep.
I just didn't want to open up the boxes that she had packed because she had packed them and she's gone. So when I had kids myself, my kids kind of really wanted to get a peek inside those boxes, and I was like, all right, well, let's just do it. And it just kind of like consumed me.
Yeah.
With this whole, I don't know, it was an overwhelming sense of joy and euphoria. One of my kids in particular, she's with me all the time at these shows. The other two girls, they don't care about any of this, but at least I've got one that really does.
Yeah, exactly.
And
right.
she really has been also the driving force behind this for me as well. So, I mean, I just started photographing stuff and documenting stuff, and my daughter was kind of pushing me along, and it all started with my mother, and then kind of moved into my daughter, and then it just turned into, why not? I'm pretty good at Photoshop. Why not do something cool with it? And it was no formula. It just kind of manifested itself.
Right.
I started doing a website, and then I started doing these prints, and I did a couple of these prints, and I took them to my friend Martin that runs Retroville Collectibles. Took him over to his house one day about a year and a half ago, and he's like, "Oh, you got to do something with these. These are just great." And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, thank you. I mean, if you think so, then maybe they are." And started. I think one of the first shows I did was my buddy Jason's Gwinnett Toy Show, and then I did Joe Lanta, and met you guys at Toy Lanta and Joe Fest, and I haven't done many, and the response has been kind of unbelievable. Retro Toy Con was another one as well, and everyone's been asking for a book, and I'm just kind of just progressing with the project.
Right.
And I was up in Retro Toy Con in November, and that was the response was unbelievable, and everyone's just like, when are you going to do a book? When are you going to do a book? And then this a guy that I know named Big Dub is like, well, I got all your prints and I put them in like a portfolio and I keep it on a coffee table. And I was like, oh, I do the same thing. And I'm just like thinking to myself, all right, it's time.
Yeah.
And that Monday I got back from South Carolina at Retro Toy Con, I started working on this. And here
check
it is
that out.
today.
Wow.
So that's the short version of the story.
Yeah. And that's perfect because the short version is as interesting sometimes as the long version, because you leave some to the imagination. Because
Sure.
we're all sitting here. I mean, we're sitting here going, man, this is amazing, because books, man, books. I had this discussion so many times at Joe Lanta with the other guys that are publishing books. It's just like, no, it's our generation. We want books. We don't want this digital stuff. And you know what?
If something in your hands.
If we're gonna pass this on, we need to pass on the knowledge, not just the toys.
Absolutely right. Yes.
I'm sorry, guys. You cannot pass down digital.
Mm-hmm.
No,
you can't. You can't trust it to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So anytime you have an opportunity to support a source of that kind of information, we as a group need to be all over that, because it's just, that stuff's going to be priceless one day. Because let's face it, two of you guys are getting a lot older, even as we speak, and you're not going to remember all of this. Some of us are perfectly fine, but a couple of you guys are not going to remember all of this in a few years. So, get it.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, speaking of getting older, I did want to bring up, and we talked about it before. Today's actually kind of a interestingly special day in regards to my mom. I woke up this morning and for some reason figured out that I am the exact same age today that she was when she passed away 23 years ago.
Yeah.
50
That's-
years, 1 month and 9 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so this is kind of, this is my first time actually, full disclosure, doing anything like this. And I'm glad it's with the three of you. So that makes it even more special to me.
Oh, thank you for that. And we
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
that.
Thank you.
And as my mom passed away on April 30th.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good. She was going on 93 years old.
That's good. That's a good life.
And had dementia for the last 17 years of it. So it's okay. So, belated condolences. And I want to thank you for sharing that story because
No,
that's a
absolutely.
cool thing.
Yeah. Thank you.
My mom bought me stuff as she could, but never encouraged me to keep any of it, which,
Yeah.
Well, if she had, I could have put her in private care over these last 17 years.
Yeah, those two references I meant, it was very rare. It's not like she took me to Toys R Us and it just that did not happen.
We get
one
that.
particular day that just kind of, or two times it blew me away. I couldn't believe that it happened.
Yeah.
Usually it was a lot of birthdays and Christmases.
Yep.
And you'd have a lot of parties for your birthday, and all your friends would, bring you.
Right.
That was a great experience, not just to get the toys, but it was kind of awesome just that back in the 80s to do something like that begin
right
with,
right. Yeah, absolutely. Just tell us about your father-in-law, because I'm kind of fascinated with that too, that you ended up getting hooked up with somebody like him in your life.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So my wife's dad, Robert Gannon, he owned a chain of toy stores in the Atlanta area called Toys Unlimited. It was about 9 stores from around the mid 70s to the late 80s. And then he sold them or something like that. And he started his career as a toy buyer for, it was Woolworths or Wilco or I have to. There's a lot of information. Me. Then he started working for Walmart, and when he was a toy buyer for Walmart. So this would be during the time of the late 60s and the early 70s, and he eventually he would go to the toy fairs and all that, but he would eventually left that and started his own set of business franchise. Right. He said it was so hardest thing he's ever done in his life. It was retail was incredibly challenging and but rewarding. He was very happy that he did it. He had no idea. He says it all the time that any of this stuff would be at the level that it is now for collectability. He then went for the rest of his career, he would do closeouts, kind of like Ollie's. I think he used to work with or buy stuff for him or from him or something like that. So he started doing stuff like that, and he had this warehouse, and it was like just filled with like closeout toys and stuff like that. And this is right before I was getting married, and he was cleaning it all out, and we had to store some of the stuff at our house while he was doing that. And in doing so, a couple of years later, I decided to go through some of this stuff he had in there, and there was a whole collection of catalog toy guys he picked up at the toy fair from 1988, 89, and 1990.
Oh wow!
So a lot of that stuff that that really helps me to do some of what I'm doing now, because what I'm really trying to do is mimic and pay homage to those toy fair catalogs and those wish book catalogs that I used to drool over, because there's no way you could have everything. It was impossible to do that, and you wanted it so bad, and you check it off and you circle it. So I'm kind of like merging so many different concepts together into this particular project, and seeing if it works. And I think it's working pretty well. I'm very excited about the book, and I can't wait for you guys to get your hands on one.
Yeah. Let's yeah, exactly. I will stick to the 10 Hut theme, where one question always pops up in the middle of the discussion, and we'll do that one at the end. Let's get to your project.
Sure.
Let's let's talk more about that because we talked about it briefly, and I loved the idea of covering. Let's face it, Masters of the Universe, Star Wars, GI Joe, they ruled. They ruled the 1980s. I mean, hands down.
They still do rule.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do. But there was, man, that was so much stuff produced in the 80s.
Yeah.
And some of it was absolutely fantastic. But let's face it, it just kind of got swallowed up in that shadow of those three brands. So what you got going on here is amazing to me. Go ahead and tell us what you're doing. What's the deal with this book?
So first of all, I'm gonna do like whatever I want to do. I'm not doing this for anybody else in particular.
Right.
I'm doing the lines that I have, that I like, that I feel need to be documented, and I'm doing this for myself. I'm also doing this for like my daughter and her generation too, because I think that education really needs to be shared. I want this stuff to live forever.
Yep.
And I just felt that there was something that needed to be done to preserve this. And I mean, everyone as a community is doing a great job posting everything on Facebook, but I just thought there needed to be a little organization. So I decided to kind of just take the prints that I do and just focus on the smaller lines, because there's some really great books out there about GI Joe. There's a great book out there about Master of the Universe. Pixel Dan actually wrote a phenomenal book about that.
Yep.
And there's just not enough content about the smaller lines. And what it is, it's more just randomized, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I find myself enjoying flipping through those too. So I wanted to create, like I mentioned before, like a wish book series, like a catalog, and document all those particular lines in as much possible detail as I can. So do you want me to just flip through some of the book?
Yeah. Show us what you got.
Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So
Yeah,
this is
look
a
it up.
prototype copy. This is like the only one that exists
Sure.
right here. And it's kind of just a domestically printed. It's not going to be the same quality, but getting this printed up was probably the best thing I ever did, because I know there's still some checking I have to do in here, especially I'm getting it, professionally proofed and stuff like that. But it was awesome because once you're working it on your screen, and it's not the same when you have it in your hand. It's just a completely different experience for me. And it kind of separates me from the project, and I'm coming in looking at it with a fresh pair of eyes.
Yep.
So basically it starts off just a little background information about the book and what's involved, touching on like the wish book formula, and then we kind of moving into taking some of those prints that, where am I on the screen? This way. So
yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's backwards.
I'm just figuring that out. So taking some of those prints that I did and using them as like a lead image, kind of like of a magazine style. So I went to Savannah College of Art and Design, and all we ever did was magazine layout, and I never even used that throughout my career. And I always wanted to kind of take advantage of that. So I laid it out kind of in the theme of like of the magazine, and I wrote detailed backgrounds of the toy line itself, and then kind of get into the toy line, and then just move on to the next lines. This Indiana Jones image was actually the first one that I did. I think I could do better, but I love it so much, and it's kind of special to me because it's the very first one. I don't want to change it. I'm even using like stands that I wouldn't even do now. I've learned so much develop different tricks and tips and stuff on how to make things look better. But I like it. Everyone else seems to like it, so I'm just gonna I'm gonna leave it because I want to.
Go ahead, John. Go ahead. Give John a second.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, can you go full screen, Shane, where we can see that?
Yeah, you don't need to see it.
So then I'll just continue to write articles, detailed articles, getting into the details of the line. One of my favorite parts about this whole project is probably the research. So, it's just been a lot of fun researching every little detail, as much detail as I could possibly.
There we go.
There you go. All right.
Yeah, you're doing great, Wayne.
Thank you very much. And then, Dungeons and Dragons is probably one of my favorite lines that I honestly didn't have when I was younger, but I always wanted it because, like I said before, you just couldn't have everything.
Right.
So now that I've been working with that, is funny story there too. There's a Atlanta Vintage Toys. They called me up one day and said, "Well, we got this lot we just picked up. I know you're working on some photography stuff. Do you want to get your hands on it?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
things like that really make the project so much easier. Honestly, I have to admit, if it wasn't for something like that, I probably wouldn't have been in a position to do stuff like that.
Yep.
So getting your hands on a complete line is probably helpful, to say the least.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always happen, and it's very rare, but it's totally worth the time, and just getting all the information and just making sure that everything looks good, lays out well. It's just been a lot of fun. I feel like I'm like a 10-year-old kid again.
Yeah.
And I just that's the feeling that I want to, like, when I'm working on something, I want to feel good about it.
Yep.
Yep. And I'm also working on information on the animated series as well. This one was pretty difficult. The A-Team, probably one of the harder research projects I did because of all the variants and the origins behind where it came from, which was General Patch. So Gen Patch from Galoob in 1982. So I kind of touched base on a lot of that stuff. And
Cool.
Yeah. So, and then just moving on to Rambo and all,
yeah.
one of my other favorite lines I didn't have much of when I was a younger kid. So, that's pretty
awesome.
much just, could y'all see that pretty well?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
My arm's
Fantastic
starting
job. Yeah. So good. So how many lines are covered in the book?
Well, right now, I have 7 in
Cool.
this one right now. So,
But it's comprehensive, so I mean, it's
right.
Right.
And the goal is to do a new volume every 6 or so months. So
Nice.
I'm already working on volume 2. I'm working on Brave Star right now.
Oh wow.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and I'm working on Mask, which is something that's really important to me, and a few other lines in there. And I don't want to really. I'm trying to get as much detail as I possibly can. So right now I'm doing a Brave Star and Mask, and I'm gonna do the rest of them following that.
Fantastic.
I'm gonna try to. I'm just gonna keep knocking them out as long as I can. So
So, give us the skinny on your Kickstarter.
Right. So we're about halfway through the Kickstarter. I think we're about 5,000 short of the goal right now.
Okay.
So I think that's good.
I think so.
I've never done this before. I have nothing to compare it to.
Sure.
But I do know that it's pretty much an essential process to, get your books off the ground. And the response that I've gotten so far has been absolutely overwhelmingly. I'm humbled by like everything. I just can't believe that so many people are interested in this, and I wanted to thank everybody so much. I think we're close to like 600 backers right now. That means 600 people are interested in seeing this come to life, and that just means so much to me.
That's a huge number.
I think so too. Again, I have nothing to compare it to. I don't really know. I will tell you this though. I partnered up with a co-publisher in this process called Blue Milk, and they did the Star Wars Vintage Series Guide. And I met Rich, who wrote that book. I met him at Toylanta. And I was just completely blown away with the quality and like everything that he did on the book. And I saw his Kickstarter numbers, and it was like $250,000 raised for this project, and I couldn't believe it. And I was like, I want to work with this team, And I honestly think that I think that it's been as good as it's been because of the help that they had put forward into helping me. I had a huge barrier to entry, just pushing launch on that Kickstarter, which is and it took a month of planning just to do that.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
So I mean, that's just, it was, I think it was very helpful to get some assistance. If I was doing this by myself, I'd probably lose my mind.
Yep. So you are on Facebook.
Yes.
Retro
Toy Quest. Yes.
And you are on Patreon, correct?
Yes. That's something new I've started.
Yep.
Just kind of a little behind the scenes look of what I'm doing. And people keep asking me, how do you do what you do? What do you do what you do?
Yep.
And I just decided to do that. And it's kind of a really nice platform to use. And
Nice.
I'm having a good time with it. Once we're past this Kickstarter phase, I plan on really posting a lot more.
Cool. Okay. We can link the Kickstarter later, right, Shane?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
And
you can also just go to Kickstarter and search the Toy Collector's Wish Book.
Toy Collector's Wish Book?
That's correct.
Yeah, I just looked it up. Retro Toy Quest is all you have to put in. You'll find it.
There
Very
you go.
cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Cool.
There's
There it is.
there's a link on Facebook, right? Just hit the Kickstarter link and
Yeah.
Mhm.
Score. Super easy. We don't have we don't have a huge audience, but I'm hoping everybody will seriously consider backing this. Go check out the campaign. Either way, go check out the campaign, because I would guarantee you, even if it's not something that you're particularly personally interested in, I guarantee you, another collector buddy or a relative or somebody,
Yeah.
John's over pushing the buy now button right now.
Yes.
Look at him.
Push that button.
and I love
Back it.
I love these kind of books, man.
He just
Right.
bought 4,500 copies.
All right. Great. All right. Then we should be good to go.
Well, these guys, everybody knows I'm an art guy.
Yeah.
I love the art on the boxes of the toys,
Yeah.
the packaging, and that's why as soon as I saw these, I was drawn right to them, man. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, gotta have it.
Awesome. They're fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you know what? Buy those posters that already exist. You can buy those, and you got 2 different sizes, 3 different sizes.
I'm down to 2 now. They're
Okay.
They're getting hard to produce.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, there's a option in the Kickstarter too, where you can get the whole portfolio like this with 20 prints. I think we got it for like $125. Don't quote me on that. $125.
Oh, that's a smoking deal.
Yeah, so it's kind of for people that are kind of jumping on those prints for the first time, that has a chance to get the portfolio. I thought it was a pretty cool idea, because everyone seems to be so supportive about those prints. And honestly, I'll tell you this too. I could see those prints that I'm doing, especially with the G.I. Joe stuff and some of the Star Wars ones. I would like to add those lines to this series down the line.
Yes.
Because I think it would be fitting
Yep.
to have a complete encyclopedic volume covering those.
Yep.
With that stuff, I mean, I'm not sure the detail that would need to be accomplished in that, because there's so many great books out there with
Right.
those.
A lot
but
of
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's to be determined. But right now,
Right.
the goal is for the smaller lines.
Right. Nice.
As long as you keep making the prints, I'll be happy.
Hey, I'm for you. You got it,
The
Shane.
Indiana Jones one is my next one I'm going to get from you.
You got it.
Yep. Yep.
Well, it's in the book, so you know.
Yeah.
So what's your show schedule, Wayne? Where are you planning on being at the next show?
Great question. So I'm doing PowerCon. Yeah, PowerCon. This is all happening pretty fast, and PowerCon's gonna have me as a guest, which is wow. I didn't expect that.
Nice.
And again, I'm just kind of just rolling with this whole thing. I'm just kind of having a good time with it, but I'm completely humbled that that's happening, and I'm very much looking forward to it. And
Nice.
I don't know what to expect, because I've never been to PowerCon, but I can't wait to go. I heard it's absolutely huge.
Nice. When is that?
It's in 2 weeks. Ends 2 weeks from today, so I think it is the whenever 2 weeks from, not this weekend, but the
11th,
following weekend.
12th, right?
14th.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Same
11th,
weekend as
11th or
Joe.
something. Yeah, I don't recall off the top.
The weekend of the 12th.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and that's in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense.
This
Yeah,
is
that
what,
actually makes sense.
Third third year they've had it in Columbus now?
I'm not sure. I heard rumors that it was somewhere else before.
Yeah, it was always in Anaheim, California.
That's
And
okay.
then
Oh yes.
they, I think 3 years ago they moved it to Ohio, and I guess I think it had something to do with Mattel quit sponsoring it.
Right.
So it's more like a toy show now than
Sure.
it was. It was originally a Master Universe convention, basically.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited. They seem to be really got it together. They've got all the new toy companies in one section, and they got all the guests that are kind of in relation to the what's going on there. And I'm just looking forward to it. I've only been to the regional shows here, and I'm very excited about traveling to Columbus to see that.
Awesome.
Well, that's because Ohio's a hotbed. That's where Hasbro's warehouses were located, and I think
Kenner.
Mattel had a warehouse.
Kenner also.
Yeah.
Kenner.
Yeah. Cincinnati. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, big time. Shane, John, anything you want to ask of Wayne while we got him?
Oh, my question. What's your go-to collectible you collect?
Well, that's a good question, and I have to say, ever since I started this book series, I can't answer it because it's just whatever's next on the list. What I'll tell you is this. Okay, so I am working on Dune right now.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Okay.
And I really wanted to get that into book 2, which it will be. And
Nice.
I'm like one of the things I'm not really prepared for, but I started working with was Aliens.
Oh, there you go.
And my daughter and I watched Aliens. She's 11. We watched Aliens the other night, and yes, my 11. I let her watch that, and I did. So
Yeah, it's all right.
and she loved it. And so I just whatever the mood hits me is what I collect.
Right.
I mean, there's no formula to it.
Yeah.
For me at least.
Yeah, I hear that. John is having an absolute terrible night. Look at this poor man. He is just he's freaking out over this book because this man he's got everything. I swear he's got an expansive collection, and it's like a lot. I mean, it's so I can see him. He's just vibrating.
Well, I can't wait for you to get it, John.
If I get like 20 copies of the book, do I get a special invite to your house to look at all this stuff?
Yeah, you just got to wear a blindfold, and then you got to go down through a series of staircases, and then
I'm good with that.
Blindfold pillowcase.
The Bat Cave. Actually, I got to be honest with you guys. I don't have things set up.
No.
A lot of collectors, and I used to, but a lot of collectors have things set up and displayed everywhere. What I did in January was I decided to kind of make this whole thing like feasible for me. So I converted most of the area into a photography space, and I'm just putting everything in bins.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunately, since the space is a little limited, I can't really display things anymore. But I'd rather have the photography space, and I usually work on like one line at a time. And it's working well for me, and I like that.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that because of what you're doing. It's not like these things are sitting there for years on end and never seeing, daylight. You're actually working with them. So
yeah,
I mean that's a million miles away from a neglected collection.
Yeah, I definitely. Yeah, and I'd say getting in the book would be far from neglected.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Do you take requests?
I mean, I don't know if I can. I mean, if somebody might request something that's like impossible to find or something. What would you request? Actually,
I would request number 1 Starcom. I love.
Oh, everybody says that.
Yeah, and but you can't never find them anywhere because nobody's like, Starcom. But
I'm not surprised you said that. I get that.
They were great.
Mm-hmm.
They were great. I mean, I loved them. The magnet idea.
The magnets, yeah.
I'd like to see the Filmations Ghostbusters.
Yeah, that's a good
Not
one.
real Ghostbusters, but the Filmation with the Tracy the Gorilla.
Yep.
They weren't a lot of those. I mean, that was a short series, but
yeah.
some of the some of the pieces or play sets are really hard to find on that.
Yeah, that's a good one too. I mean, all that's on the list. The list is long.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Oh,
it's
I'm
a
sure
very long
I
list.
sit here long enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but those are great things. I get the Starcom a lot. I mean,
Right.
yeah, that's probably high up on that list.
Nice. Nice. What was it? Insectors,
Sectors,
sectors, the bug guys, and
Mattel Sectors.
No.
Yeah.
there was a ton of stuff back in the 80s. Tons and
Mhm.
tons of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You did the Centurions, didn't you? Don't you have some prints for the Centurions?
I haven't done that one yet. I want
Okay.
to. That's on the list sooner than later, actually. Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
I have a question on your print. So, like on the 1982 GI Joe one, I noticed that you didn't include the Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander. Is that maybe something you're going to do later as like a variant with all the different variants or something?
Yeah. So with the single page prints, it's one page, you know. And I noticed when I did that next GI Joe, that 83, that was getting real crowded. I mean, that page was just getting that was so hard to do. And then when I decided, okay, I'm gonna attack some Star Wars stuff just because I want to. I mean, I just want to. Yes, I had to cram so much on there, and that's another reason why this book is starting to take form too, is because it's hard to cram that stuff on there. I ended up going with the flag because that's you can spread the stuff out a little bit. So I did the flag for Joe Fest. So I'm at the realization with some of these prints that you just can't get it on there. When I did Star Wars, the Return of the Jedi, yeah. So it's just, and I would like to do a Defiant one pretty soon, also, and I would do one just for that. I mean, I just think it deserves its own.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Yeah. But to answer your question about the Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander, it's just it's just a basic collector's guide, and if I was to go through all of the variants, it would be you wouldn't want to have that. It would be a mess. It would be a collage of it would be a, what would you say? It would be like a modern art piece rather than it would be a Picasso or something. I mean, it would be very difficult to but that's why some of the variants and stuff and details are more covered and it's reserved for more of like the book. But yes, I do have the Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander, and when I was doing the whole thing, I was like thinking to myself, man, this should be in here somewhere. But I never had that when I was younger, and I also mailed away for that. So the origins of that are pretty cool. How that came to be.
Yep.
I hope that answered your question. Did that answer? Yeah.
Nice. Hey, look at you. You've been 40 minutes. You didn't even know if you could take a half an hour and you smoked right through it, and you're not even done yet. Here's yeah, exactly. Here's your 10 hot question.
Okay.
Your wife grew up surrounded by toys. Yes. I mean, that was literally the family business.
Yes.
How's she doing with all of this, with your projects and stuff?
You know, she's like the poor girl married her father. I mean, it's just like I joke about it all the time. I mean, it's just like, and even when she was growing up, like her father wouldn't really give her any of the stuff from the store. She would get open boxed product. She would get like a Skeletor with a missing sword that was lying on the floor. She actually had that, or a He-Man with a missing shield or whatever that was opened in the package.
Right.
It wasn't like but just because her father owned a really 9 toy stores doesn't mean she was like overwhelmed with toys. She didn't really get anything at all, and she seems to be very supportive about what I'm doing, and I don't think I could have asked for anything else.
That's awesome.
Because I mean, it's just she just seems to be, as long as I'm happy, she's happy. And I do most of my work down in this basement.
Yep.
And upstairs is a whole different world.
Yeah, no, I think we all get it. Everyone sitting here already knew the answer to that question because
Right.
if it wasn't the answer you gave, we wouldn't be talking to you because
Yeah.
we never would have met because you wouldn't be doing any of this.
Sure.
Yep.
Fair
But
enough.
you know, if you can give a thumbs up to a wife every now and then, because let's face it, you know, what's that meme? It said, "Oh no, I'm not rich. I'm just wildly irresponsible."
Yeah. Well, we went through. We had a box of my wife's toys recently that I've been saving. I've been keeping away, and apparently she was pretty immaculate with her Barbies, and she had a similar situation as me, but she did it herself, and she would keep them in her room, and she wouldn't let anybody touch them. And she matched up all of the outfits with the Barbies, and she had a good amount of them too. It was like 20 of them, and she matched up all the outfits and kept them in this box. And when we pulled them out of the box, we just did it a couple weeks ago, and my kids were just completely this all. I mean, I love it because, you know, they seem to be interested, and they took something away from it.
Right.
And my wife's face kind of lit up a little bit and I was kind of keeping that for a moment when her kids were older. And we did it a couple weeks ago, and it was really awesome to see that.
Yeah.
And I was pretty proud of my wife that she did kind of the same thing that I did, taking care of her stuff.
Nice.
You know? Yeah.
Nice.
So we're trying to teach that to our kids, but they don't want anything right now. They just want iPads. So
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? Give it time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, give it time. It's you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised what sticks. That doesn't show up until much later.
Yeah.
I bought an iPad just so I could look at toys on eBay.
That's what I think iPads are supposed to be for, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right.
eBay is the Sears catalog of today's time. You go there and look and wish.
Yeah, I actually, when I can't sleep at night, I get up and sit in my chair and I'll flip through eBay, and it's a nice way to fall back to sleep.
You know what? It's not a bad resource. I
No,
mean,
yeah.
it really isn't.
Yeah.
There's
Hurts
some
my
stuff.
feelings when I look at it,
Well, yeah, there's that. But
especially looking for flag parts.
Yeah.
hey, I told you.
A lot of times if I've got accessories and I don't remember, you know, what accessories come with a certain figure, I'll go to eBay and find a loose one that's got complete.
Right.
Just to figure out what goes with
Yep,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Awesome. So, thank you, Wayne.
Thank you guys. I
What an
appreciate
absolute
it
pleasure.
so much. I mean, this has been great. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this, and you know, I remember talking with you about this at Joe Fest, I think it was, Dave. So I'm glad we got a chance to get together and do this.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'd like to have you back at some point in time so you can keep us posted.
Anytime. Absolutely.
And you know what? I'll say something, and it's not a negative thing, but I'll close with this. It really ultimately doesn't matter what Kickstarter does or doesn't do. This is a real labor of love for you. So whatever,
Right.
I would strongly encourage you not to give up on it.
Right. Absolutely not.
Because there's 600 people out there right now that find what you're doing to be an important thing and worth backing.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
Yes.
That's a big deal. So
thank you.
You know, whatever it does or doesn't do, and all the best with it. Absolutely.
Oh, I appreciate that.
We're gonna push it, but
I appreciate the encouragement. That's well said. Thank you so much.
yeah, no, and it's heartfelt because, you know, nothing else matters. But this stuff is amazing, and John would probably offer you $10,000 or $12,000 for that one copy of that book, Dave.
Yeah, I don't know. This one's the unproofed version. It's gonna get buried in the backyard.
That's the prototype. That's the prototype.
Oh yeah, he likes prototypes.
Prototype version.
I think I had this one at Joe Fest. I think did I show this to you?
Yes.
David?
Yeah,
okay.
I saw it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I just finally ordered another prototype, and then, you know, because, you know, we're not getting anything printed until after. It's impossible to do until after the Kickstarter. But I just finally ordered another prototype version the other day. So
Nice.
finally I can retire this one.
There you go. Yeah, get rid of the one with all the fingerprints and stuff,
Yeah.
dog ears and everything else. You, my friend, are welcome to hang out here for as long as you want, or you can bow out gracefully, or you can
Well,
bow
I
out.
think I'm going to quit while I'm ahead.
There you go. You did a
When you-
fantastic job.
Thank you very much.
When you dispose of that book, I'll give you my address.
Okay.
Just so you know. You don't
All
have
right,
to throw it
John.
away.
I'm going to remember that. All right.
He's got a big backyard you can bury it in.
Yeah, I got
Great.
I got a
That's
pasture.
fine. That's the way it should be done then. All right.
Hey, you did great. 46 minutes. Awesome.
Oh, that's better than I thought. Well, thank you guys so much.
Hey,
Well, you
thanks,
guys were
mate.
very easy and you made it very comfortable for me. So I appreciate that.
That's how we like it, man.
It's all good.
You got it. All
Thank
right,
you, sir.
John, Dave, and Shane, thank you guys so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Wade.
you, Wayne.
Bring it on, man.
Appreciate
You
it.
guys take care. All right.
Yeah,
All
you
right,
too.
bye-bye.
Bye. So, gentlemen, ladies, you got to back that book. You really got to back that book, even if you're buying it for a gift, because, with the information, exactly, with the information that he has
Oh,
uncovered that his father-in-law had.
man, that's
There
fantastic.
is a whole series of
Oh,
books.
wow.
Wayne has got a whole series of books that he can do, and it's just, guys, we
How
need
would-
books. We
How
need
would
this
you
digital
like
stuff.
to go through his father-in-law's garage? That would be fantastic, would it not?
I'd like to sit down and talk with the man, because you think about it, being a toy buyer through the 60s,
Oh, no doubt.
every single character that we know and love, literally, guys, seriously,
Yeah, walk
has
through his
their
door.
roots in the 1960s.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't care if it's superheroes or if it's G.I. Joe or Hot Wheels, Matchbox, whatever you're doing, of course, except for Star Wars, of course, but that's a different thing. But you get the idea.
No, yeah.
It all started in the 60s, and the things that man saw, he had to have been absolutely floored as a buyer to have somebody giving him the pitch on some of this stuff, going, are you kidding me? That is never going to sell. And all of a
Oh,
sudden,
definitely.
I mean,
Definitely.
I'd like to he would be a great interview when you think
Oh,
about
it.
it. He would be a long form interview, because I guarantee you a man his age could tell you stuff that would just be amazing. You know what? Maybe. You never know. I'll think about that
We
one.
need to talk about that one.
Yeah, I think we do. I actually do. I think we do. We could do a joint interview with him and Wayne again at some point in time. Yeah, it might be a lot of
Just
fun,
the
actually.
stories alone would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be a good one. And they're right there. Well, I say that. Wayne's in Atlanta. I don't know where the father-in-law is. Probably still in the area. I don't know for sure. But you know what? I think that might be a thing, actually. So, what are we doing for 10 Hunt next week? I don't know. To be perfectly honest with you, we're still waiting on callbacks here and there. We've got feelers out to some. We've still got feelers out to some really awesome guests.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know.
Got some at the local toy shops also.
Yeah, I want to get back over to Georgia. I got to get down to the new shop in Birmingham. I want to make the rounds up in Huntsville. It's just very hard, guys. You all get it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's finding the time to do this and matching that up with the time that everybody else has to do this. It can be rough, but we're getting there.
I had a member the other day asked me about us all getting together and doing a hunt together, and going to shops. And I told him, getting our schedule worked out together, that's going to be the biggest issue with that.
Yeah.
But it's a great idea. I would love to get a bunch of the members together and do that.
Yeah.
It'd be great.
Yep.
When
When's
Find
Toyland?
the
2
time
weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
12.
2 weeks. I was
Yeah, the
thinking.
Kentucky show was this weekend.
Yes.
And then,
Yes.
so Toyland and PowerCon, or JoeLand and PowerCon is going to be the same weekend.
Right.
Yep. All right. Well, let's switch gears. And what do you got, John? What do you want to go? What do you got going on, John?
Oh, I got all kind of stuff going on.
Nice. Well, then just do that. Then.
I actually just got a few things from Toy Fair because I didn't know how much time we was going to have, but I've only got one letter I want to read, but I found it interesting. I'm not going to go through it because the first 3 or 4 letters is, still bashing Nick Williams and the speculation.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask.
But I did. Did you get the pictures I sent you, Shane?
I do not think I did. If I did, I didn't have time to get them on.
Okay. That's cool. Because I just had a few things, but I'm probably going to skip through a little bit because I got some other stuff too here to discuss. But I want to read this one letter that somebody sent to Toy Fair, and this is something I haven't really heard of. Maybe you guys have, maybe. But let me read the letter. So it says, "Dear Toy Fair, what is the best way to store mint on card figures? I know that acid in cardboard boxes is killer on comic books, but what materials should the average collector steer away from when storing figures over time? What kind of boxes should be used? I enjoy displaying loose figures, but like many collectors, I buy doubles of figures I like, one to open and one to save. But I want to preserve my carded figures so that they'll still look new in 10 or 20 years. How about showing me how?" Now, this is their response, and this is interesting because I have not heard of this. It says the key to preserving carded figures, just as with comics, is to keep them out of the light in a cool place with controlled humidity. Under these optimum conditions, your carded figures should last a good long time, but not forever. According to Bill Cole, Collectibles Preservation Whiz from Bill Cole Enterprises, the biggest problem with storing carded figures is the plastic inner blister holding the toy in place. Each manufacturer has its own formula for inner blisters, but basically that plastic is a PVC polyvinyl chloride that will break down and migrate onto the surface of the card over time, Cole says. The plastic then will eventually degrade the card. Now, I've never heard that before.
I knew it was a different plastic, but I didn't know it was.
So I mean, according to him, eventually all these carded figures that's got that blister is going to eventually degrade and ruin the card, basically what it sounds. It says most collectors have taken to wrapping a 1 mil Mylar sleeve around their carded figures, sealing it with a piece of tape and calling it good. Cole says under utopian conditions, dry, cool, and out of the light, the figure will hold up nicely for a long time. If you're less concerned about the long-term value and more concerned with preserving the toys for children or grandchildren, Cole suggests removing the plastic blister and putting the card and the toy in separate Mylar sleeves without the blister. The figure and card can survive indefinitely. So, I mean, is that an issue that all these people collecting these vintage carded figures, that eventually it's going to be a problem? I don't know. I've never heard this before. This was new to me. I mean, I'm sure I read this 30 years ago, but I forgot about it by now.
You know, it's funny. I don't. I mean, of course, I'm like everybody else. I've known that it was a different plastic than the bubble for a long time. And what has it been, the last 5 or 6 years, this new practice where I swear the figures just set into it while it's still hot so that it actually kind of, McFarlane does this a lot, where they're sealed right into that inner bubble, whatever you want to call it. That I've had some serious questions about because it's just like, I mean, man, what happens if that gets hot again? Is that going to melt to the figure?
I don't know. Some of them's really hard to get out of those things.
They are without destroying it. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been afraid I was going to break the figure trying to get it out.
Yep, that's happened. Leave a foot or a hand or something in the packaging.
That's what I miss about the old Joes. They were just loose in the blister.
Yeah.
And you had the accessory separate. I mean,
right.
I had no problem with that. They like everything to be, this presentation now. It's all about presentation. So you got the figures posed in certain poses and all. But that's another issue. Like if they're posed in some kind of battle stance or something, then when you pull them out, they're like bow-legged, and you can't straighten them back out.
Yep.
Well, now being plastic-free packaging, we ain't got to worry about all that.
Well, no, but we're going back to window packages at some point, supposedly.
Yeah, the things I'm seeing, the windows are going to only be like for the about mid chest and up.
Oh, okay. So it's literally a window.
I don't know. The pictures I saw look just like they were before they went. It's the full front thing there. It looked like from what they were showing at San Diego Comic-Con.
I didn't see any of those. I've just seen the X-Men, the new X-Men figures, and the new Marvel stuff is just mid chest and up. Is all you're seeing.
I mean, I've seen guys with collections, specifically Star Wars carded figures that are in a comic bag with the backer board, and they're sealed, and they're in a white box because acid was the enemy. But Star Wars figures were packaged the exact same way Joe's were, right? They're just an exterior bubble, so maybe that's the difference. I never really considered what that inner plastic would do over time. Never really thought of it.
I think the breakdown process would be so long on that, if at all.
Wouldn't you? You'd think, wouldn't you? I mean,
because I've seen, stuff from the 70s still in the package with that inner blister, and it still looked like it did the day it come off the shelf. So I don't know I don't know about all that.
And like I said, it may be something because you'd think air would have to get to it for it to start breaking down.
It would have to be a combination of things also.
Yeah, you do see
air, your heat, and stuff like that would have to break it down.
Thank you, Jared.
You do see a lot of vintage figures that the bubbles are starting to come loose on, though, and I don't know.
But that's going to be a turn loose of the glue.
Right.
And the glue is a different type of stuff than the
PVC
blister on the inside.
But that would allow air to get into the inner blister, and then that may be what.
I don't
know.
Well, yeah, but do you remember there was a time figures had a vent
in the bottom
of the outside bubble because the
plastic
was filming up so badly.
Origin figures have that, do they not?
What's that?
The He-Man Origin figures?
I'm not sure. Do they?
I believe they have a small vent at the bottom.
They may. I know the DC Universe figures used to have those.
Yes, they did. They were vented on the bottom because it stunk. I mean, the plastic fumes built up so bad in those bubbles.
The new toy smell.
The new toy smell. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Interesting. I never really thought about that. I mean, it is definitely a different type of plastic, and sometimes I've looked at it wondering if it's just not going to kind of cave in on the figure if it shrinks anymore. It's like a weird shrink wrap type stuff, isn't it?
Right.
Weird.
Couple more things. The figure, for those that's keeping up with what figure was offered, the Madrox Multiple Man was the figure in issue 4 of Toy Fair. This is, by the way, this is issue 4, December '97. Had Locutus on front. Card is Locutus. So Multiple Man. So far, we're up to 6 issues. The 2 specials and then 4 issues. All of them's been Marvel, Toy Biz figures, which eventually they'll get into some other things.
Now, wasn't there some kind of licensing beef between DC and Toy Fair? They didn't want their characters used in Twisted Mego Theater and all this other stuff, or was that just hype rumor?
I don't know.
I remember hearing or reading something years back when it was a thing that DC, the execs at DC were not keen on having their characters involved with some of the stuff that was going on in that magazine, which it got to be a very popular magazine, which I think, if it's true, changed their tune because they were missing the boat big time on that. But interesting.
So the top 10 hottest action figures, and it's kind of a repeat of last month, except for the 4 Kiss figures dropped from 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place to 7th, 8th, and 9th. Harley Quinn's still in there.
Still hanging in there.
She was a popular character right off the bat.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the other 5 figures are Star Wars Power of the Force.
Right.
You had Grand Moff Tarkin coming in at 5, Snow Trooper at 4, Han Solo and Bespin Gear at 3, the Royal Guard and second, and in first place you had Leah as Jabba's slave or prisoner, a figure that we'll no longer be seeing on the toy shelves apparently.
Yep.
They said they will not be doing that anymore. So
that thing was a hot figure, though. Man, you couldn't.
I kind of hate that I got rid of my Black Series one several years ago. I should have kept it.
Yeah.
Who knew? Who knew, right?
Yeah.
The Castaway toy in this issue was Phage. I think he's let's see, existing. He's dead. He's a dead steer with squid legs and a yak hair body. And he has 2 spines and a fashionable belt, and as a sidekick, an 8-legged koala. This is what happens when the boss rejects a designer's attempts at a scary monster one too many times, and he comes up with the most ludicrous nonsense he can just to be a jerk. Naturally, boss loves it. 8-legged koala. Norton, you're a genius. And I don't know. It don't say what toy line this is from. I'm not sure what this is.
No idea.
I do not remember such a character as that. So I had to do some research on that and figure out what. Let's see. It don't say there. I don't know.
I don't know.
But interestingly enough, so it didn't take long because what was it? 2 issues ago, we talked about the very first comic store or the very first special market comic book action figure, which was Warrior Nun Ariella.
Mm-hmm.
The first action figure to be done just specifically for specialty stores like comic shops. And then you led into more action figures, the Lady Death and the ones that they wouldn't sell in Walmart and places. So it's only been like all this happened in '97. Well, right off the bat, of course, right off the bat, and no longer did these specialty figures really start to become a thing. That they had to do it. They had to do the character's called Harry Carey from Blackout Comics. And so this would have been coming out right around, and I'd sent Shane some pictures. I don't guess he got it.
Running late.
Not any that we couldn't show on the show, but it was. It's the first. So this is considered the first nude action figure. It says, "Come on, fess up. You've probably taken a peek at Barbie's hidden assets at least once in your life. But when you check out what the new Harry Carey action figure's packing under her costume, you're going to get a real surprise." Independent comic book publisher Blackout Comics, and I've never even heard of Blackout.
No.
I have heard of the character Harry Carey. I always thought that was just some dude that committed suicide, but apparently it's not. But it says the independent comic book publisher Blackout Comics will release the first ever nude variant action figure based on the star of their flagship comic, Harry Carey. The 6-inch figure comes with a sword and a demonic shield, and the nude edition features a breastplate that can be removed to reveal the heroine in all her glory. There will be a regular edition for $9.95, while the variant is limited to 5,000 pieces and will fetch $14.95. Ironically, Harry Carey has never appeared nude in her comic book appearance, so why do a nude figure? There's always a certain allure to be the first to do something. And basically that was what it was, just to be the first to get it out there before somebody else did.
Right.
And I don't know. To me, that's kind of creepy doing that with toys. I just don't understand it. But, somebody saw an opportunity and they figured, hey, that's a way to sell a character that most people probably never even heard of.
I wonder if it worked.
I don't know. I found them. I looked up on eBay to see, because it did mention, it talks here about, it says, while it might make sense to the publisher, some retailers are worried about how the figure will go over. I see a danger in this, said Joseph Thunderhorse, owner of Thunderhorse Originals in Florida. I'm not the moral majority. I'm a guy who used to stash Playboy under my bed. There's no safe way to prevent this from getting into children's hands. It's the same deal for anything not meant for underage buyers, like with alcohol or pornographic material. Schoongood claims that packaging for the variant will differ significantly. Now, this is what gets me. It says the packaging for the variant will differ significantly to denote the figure is indeed for mature audiences. The retailer has to be responsible for his merchandise as long as it's clearly marked not for children. We hope the retailer will be responsible. Now, notice, sir, it said it would the packaging for be significantly different, or wait a minute. Claims that packaging for the variant will differ significantly to note the figure. Well, I don't find it that to be the case because, like I said, I looked these up on eBay, so I don't know if Shane didn't get the picture, but this is the figure here, okay? And if you'll notice, right up here, it says action figure based on the popular comic book character, and that little bitty square. The only difference is, in small print in that little corner, it says special nude variant edition.
Yeah, but that's significant, right? Come on.
So, I mean, that's the only difference. And what gets me is it specifically says there for adults over 18 only. But then when you look down at the bottom about the small parts, it says not for children under the age of 3. I guess they were afraid children under the age of 3 might get confused and think it's lunchtime if they got to that. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. So if you're sitting there wondering, I wonder what the first nude figure was, now you know it was Harry Carey from Blackout Comics.
And knowing is half the battle.
Knowing's half the battle. So, yeah. And like I said, I've never even heard of Blackout Comics. I think I've seen some of the comics with that character on it. And because I remember thinking, Harry Carey, I thought that was, a guy that committed suicide back in, the 60s or something. That's where you get the expression committing Harry Carey.
Yeah, just Japanese soldiers. Yeah.
So anyway, there was one other interesting thing that I wanted to point out. I don't know if you guys remember, but I really thought at the time, and I still think this is a cool figure. To me, this is one of the more unique figures from Star Wars that I really like, and I still have one somewhere put up. But it was the internet exclusive Bomar Monk.
Yep.
It was a spider creature from Jabba's palace.
Yep.
I always thought that was really a cool figure that they did, and I liked that. I thought that was neat.
You know what the best part about that figure was, John? Those spindly little legs.
Mm-hmm.
They were in zero danger of breaking because they actually hit the formula on that plastic just right, so that it was flexible enough to snap together, but rigid enough to actually hold that thing up. That was a fantastically done figure. Really, really good one. Yeah, Harry Carey. Not that Harry Carey. The other Harry Carey.
Yeah.
Supplica is the actual Japanese term for that ceremonial suicide, if I remember right.
Okay.
Yeah, Harry Carey was Americanized.
All the talk about the Chuckles figure, and surprisingly, because like I said, Marshall, he's starting to get into Transformers a little bit, which he don't know I've got this for him yet, so I'm saving it for a special occasion. But
just you and us and the internet.
Okay. So, less than a week later after ordering the Chuckles, I ordered this with it at the same time, and it came already. So I'm like, if they can have the Transformers ready that quick, how come we're not holding Chuckles in our hand right now?
I don't know, man.
But I don't know. It's basically what was it? Cup? I think that was Cup was the name of that character. But he's now orange and blue, and he's called Dion. And then of course RC is now Ariel. I guess from a different. I don't know. This is from a
different timeline.
War Dome 2-pack Legacy Evolution. The Transformers fans know more about it than I do. But anyhow, it's out. It's already shipping, and it does. They do like a couple of cool figures there. So anyhow, I got that put up, saving for a special occasion, and maybe when I figure out what that special occasion is, we'll maybe have him unbox it on the show or something. So a couple of other things. Something else that I got. I think it was this week that I got. Was I'd actually ordered from Valorverse, first time to actually order from the website, and I got the Desert Trooper. I saw some at the show, but I passed on getting it. I thought, well, So they got them in stock, and pretty cool figure. I like the paint scheme. May have to get an accessory pack for them later. Come with, of course, several hands. Come with one gun, several hands, and an alternate head that was, the African American version.
Mm-hmm.
And you got, I don't know, 3 other sets of hands. And a stand and all. Not a bad deal for $21.99. And so got that, and then I also got. So it had the Warpath was the Warpath Eclipse was the one we got for Joe Fest.
Mm-hmm.
Really awesome figure. So I wanted the regular version too, so I got that was the other one that I ordered, and just side by side kind of there. I mean, these figures are awesome. I mean, I'm really impressed with them. I don't know what the deal is. Like their knife's different, so it's not exactly the same. Because one of them, the knife is the sheath is is reversed.
Interesting.
This one come with the sickle, so I mean, it did come with some different gun too, different accessories. Some of the accessories were different. Both of them come with the alternate masked head, so when you pull up, and I'll just show you the regular version. So you can actually army build with this if you wanted to. But she's got the alternate. Now let's see. Get my camera over here. The alternate head with a scarf and all pulled up over her head. And of course, she come with a bunch of hands. And this is what I like about them. The hand they come with. You see this hand here?
Right.
It's cupped, so you can lay the gun right in it.
Yeah.
I really wish they would do something like that with the Joes, so they can, Sometimes it's hard to put that hand. What's that?
Instead of having to try to bend the thumb back to get it in there.
Yeah, and they're still holding it with their trigger finger sticking out. It's like. I would not be totally opposed to multiple hands for the Joes, even if it meant sacrificing maybe one accessory or something in there with it. But I don't know. Just so they can hold the gun better. Because it looks funny if they only come with one gun and both hands are got trigger fingers on them. It just kind of looks funny to me. But But anyhow, those are. I mean, I'm really been impressed with these. I wasn't too sure about them, and I thought, well, looking at them online, I thought them looks cheap. They're trying to, it's a rip off of GI Joe, but I mean, they really got some really nice figures, and I mean, they're really well made. They look cheap online when I looked at them. First time I saw them and all, but actually holding them in hand, they're really well made, real tight joints. You about nearly have to heat the hands to get them out. I mean, they're in there good. So anyhow, that's a couple of things I got in the mail this week.
Nice.
And, check it out. So yesterday, I've been rearranging, and I think I'm gonna go. I'm going back to my roots of vintage toys, and so I don't know exactly for sure what I'm going to sell, when I'm going to sell, or whatever. But I'm probably going to get rid of some of the newer stuff, and try to stick with just I don't know. After getting that lot a couple of weeks ago, it's got me all gung ho on the vintage Joe stuff and all.
Got the vintage bug.
So I posted a video yesterday of this, but I had this guy in a box that I'd got at a toy show here. I don't know. Several years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago, and he didn't have any stickers applied. The sticker sheet was in there. A couple of them were missing off of it, but it was inside a little baggie stuck inside the box, and it was gun. I don't know if y'all seen any old stickers from the 80s, but they got you can feel the glue where it's kind of seeped out.
It's seeped out, yeah.
It's sticky. And so it was like that, and I thought, well, what the heck? I'm going to try putting them on there because, face it didn't look right. I said, I got to at least put the visor on there because it didn't look right without it. So after I put it on, I got to look and I said, well, that ain't too bad. And it's funny because the sheet felt sticky and all, but after I got the stickers on, they feel dry and they actually stick really well.
Nice.
As you can see, and I'm not going to take it apart, but there's some on the inside. Well, there's a piece falling out of the inside right there. I stuck the spare pieces in there. But like the little computer screen and all, but you can see on the back. So that's why I posted that video in case somebody's out there, man, I don't know if these stickers, I don't know if I want to try to use them or just get new ones. You know, you can get repos or whatever. But if you want to keep it original, I mean, it seems to work. I've got some others I'm going to try later on too. But I mean, it seems to work. I'm very pleased, and they look brand new. I mean, if you look real close, you might still see just a little around the area, but it don't look that bad. I mean, like that one. And I always found it amazing. It's nice to know that even though Cobra, didn't mind just killing people left and right, they still took care of their troops by making sure they put caution and warning labels on all their vehicles and things. So
yeah, wouldn't want to lose a finger.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that. Got to make sure they live long enough to fight, right?
That's right.
So anyway, so that's something neat. A couple other things that I put my wheel together today. It doesn't have a sticker sheet. It's never had any stickers applied. I don't know if the thing's ever been put together. It wasn't sealed in the bags or nothing, but this one I was telling you guys I got about 8 years ago or so ago, probably 8 or 9 years ago, box and all for $50, which was, now that thing would be about $200, $250.
Mm-hmm.
Took it out. I mean, the thing, it's immaculate. It looks shiny, brand new. And of course, I was putting it together and being very careful because I didn't want to break anything. And
this is going bad quick.
It was like trying to defuse a bomb.
Mm-hmm.
But I got it together. I didn't break anything. I got it displayed now. It don't, like I said, it don't have no stickers on it whatsoever. And
wow.
And I may get some repo stickers later if I could find an original sticker sheet. Probably cost arm and leg if I did. But I'm happy with it. I got it put together. But this is my thing. And so here's my problem with displaying my my Wolverine. It's this tow cable.
Oh, I can't believe you put that on there.
I mean, you see, well, it's on there, but I can't, you see it's very tight. And if you look there when you got it on there, it's actually like, shucks, my hand's getting in the way. Just about a 2/8 of an inch short.
Yeah.
Or 2/8 or 1/8 by 1/8 or so short. I bought this one here, I don't know, about a year or so ago. I actually bought, I mean, this tow cable is going for over $100 if you can find one.
Uh-huh.
You can't even find it. And I found a guy had this for sale, the whole thing for like $70. So I said, I might as well just go ahead and buy the whole thing, because it's worth that to get the cable.
Mm-hmm.
Because the other one I had, I bought a few years ago, and I put the tow cable on it, and because it fits so tight, after 2 months, I walk out to my man cave, and this happened.
Yeah, exactly.
So there went, and boy, that made me sick because I know how rare these things are.
Yeah.
So my thing is, if you got one of these, don't put the cable on there.
Right.
It cannot hold the strain, and that's why you can't find many of them because kids put them on and they broke.
Right.
They did not make this. They made it too far apart. I know they've done it so it would stay on when you put it on there, but the problem is when that thing sets, I mean, it's a lot of stress on that and it breaks.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same. I guess they learned from that because they probably had a lot of them break. So when they come out with a mauler, because it's the exact same mold, same length and everything, except the mauler's a dark gray. But you see how they put tall post on the mauler? And look how it's loose.
Right.
So they made it closer together. So, I don't have no problem displaying that one. But I can't figure out how to display my Wolverine where to look right because I thought about maybe getting a little piece of two-sided tape and stick under it just to hold it down, but not actually hook it on. I don't know. Maybe I might just put the thing up and get one of those. I know people sell them on eBay actually made out of wire.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like a real tow cable that you can get and put on there for like $10-15. Maybe that may be what I'll end up doing because I'm definitely not going to put that one on there and risk breaking it. That's why those things are becoming so hard to find.
Yeah, and
this is my thing. That as I'm displaying this stuff, again, I had my bridge layer I bought. I don't know. I think I give $15 for it about 7-8 years ago in a shop, and it was complete. And I went to pick it up. It's been sitting there on a shelf there in my man cave for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now since I've actually picked it up. So it's good and dusty. I got to dust it off. Well, when I picked it up, one of the tracks fell completely off, and the other is hanging just by two
Posts or whatever.
posts. Yeah,
Yeah.
they just, it was so brittle. They just broke, and it just sitting there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if it's because that one, I don't know where it'd been before I bought it. Maybe it'd been sitting in heat somewhere for a long time.
I think it's heat. Yeah.
And because both of these Wolverines I got, man, they look like brand new. I mean, look at the tread. There's no dirt or nothing in them.
Right.
Like they were taken care of. So that's my concern about buying stuff that's that old. You don't know what it's been through before you get it by now.
Right.
And are you going to spend money on something and then 2 or 3 years later, all of a sudden you pick it up and it just falls apart?
Well, this is other than the white pieces, which thankfully, I mean, cleaned up beautifully. Snowcat in that lot that we got a couple weeks ago. Other than this chassis, every single piece of black plastic that was on this thing literally disintegrated. And when I say disintegrated, I'm talking about this stuff shattered like sugar glass. I mean, everything broke.
Right.
I mean, we saw it with the skis for the missiles. Those were coming apart before we even got and bought it. But this thing, and having taken apart that Terradrome to get it all cleaned up and get that mustard yellow off of there. This soot on the inside, it's that unburned fuel soot, that thick graphite almost soot on the inside of that Terradrome. Some of this stuff had been exposed to heat and fire. And I think that's what happened with this. This really got hot, and that plastic went brittle. It literally had baked at some point in time. So,
yeah, I agree with you. It was exposed to a fire.
I'm really liking to get my hands on a lot of this stuff. I have a lot more of the vintage stuff now than I ever intended on having last year when I got back into this. But I have to tell you, some of it is really discouraging because it is just so brittle, and has been so, I'm not going to say played with, because most of the stuff that has been played with isn't even for sale. These are coming from collections, you know what I mean? And it's been neglected. It's not really just in bad shape because it was played with. Most of that stuff is long gone. Stuff's coming out of collections that just wasn't taken care of in any stretch of the imagination. So, you know what? We made out great. But I got to tell you, man, buying lots, it's a crapshoot because, I mean, boy, if some of the figures and stuff hadn't been what they were, we probably would have been upside down pretty quick because vehicles it's great stuff, but you should look at some of these things and they fall apart. I mean, so, look, buyer beware, right? Just pick it up and handle it before you buy it. If it's looking burnt, if it's looking brittle, you might luck out and have 1 or 2 pieces in the collection that's that way, and the rest of them are okay. But boy, you want to be leery of it because you just don't know.
And that's my thing with spending. You see people bidding several $1,000s on lots on eBay that I look at it and think, I really don't think that's worth it.
No.
And if they get it and they open the box and pull it out and it starts falling apart, I mean, how do you know? If you don't see it, I'd like to see it beforehand, especially something like that. And, that's the best part about, like I said, and y'all know I'm big on toy shows because I can see and pick it up, touch it, and look at it.
Yep.
And even still then, like with that bridge layer, when I bought it, it looked like it was in good shape, but apparently it'd been in heat or something because it was just a few years later, it fell apart on me.
Yeah, I think it's heat. That's my opinion. I do. I think it's heat. Addicts. I think addicts, southern addicts especially, are probably destroying thousands of toys even as we speak, just because of the heat. You know what? Toys that were exposed to the cold. We couldn't take our Star Wars figures outside when we were kids. When I went in a Maine winter, because I remember as a kid, Star Wars figures splitting right down the middle from the cold.
Wow.
We'd take them outside and they'd break in our hands. It was so cold because that plastic would go brittle in the cold. So that seemed to be a lot more immediate. You know what? If something had been exposed to cold, it was just going to break. The heat stuff, man. I think it's a bit of a gamble. Stuff you want to pay attention to. That's for sure.
Yeah. See, that's my concern because I've got an air conditioner at my man cave. I got it air conditioned. So during the summertime, it runs and keeps and it's, of course, air conditioners have built-in humidifiers anyways to keep the moisture there. I don't know. I think the heat's a bigger issue than the cold here in the South.
Yes, I do too.
But still, I still have some concerns about during the wintertime when it gets really cold because I'm not going to put a heater out there and turn it on and leave it. I mean, I'll go out there and burn down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So I'll trust the air conditioner run, but I ain't gonna trust the heater. Leaving it out there.
No.
So that I'm afraid to leave heat on during the winter. But so I'm wondering. I mean, is that gonna? Did that affect that bridge layer? I mean, being out there in some cold winters, I don't know. I mean, that's
this last winter we had may have had something to do with it.
It's possible. I just don't know. I don't know. Like I said, cold was like we just knew it got cold because literally our figures used to come apart in our hands.
But I'm sure you're probably talking about below zero temperature.
Oh well, yeah, no, that was the thing. I mean, we were under 10. And we played outside, below zero quite frequently. I mean, the biggest thing we used to do, and man, we'd get our butts paddled for this every time if somebody left an uninsulated outside spigot on. Oh, geez, we'd run right over and turn one of them suckers on because within like 10 seconds, the water would freeze right to the ground. Yeah. Right. Well, of course, we didn't realize it was freezing right up the pipe and into the house too.
Yeah.
Well, we used to do that all the time, but no, I mean, yeah, cold. Like doesn't happen down here, but still, it was immediate. It didn't. I don't know what cold does to this plastic over long term. I just don't know. I don't know. Interesting.
It probably has a little effect to it.
Got to, right?
And like I said, I definitely know humidity. If it's what's the word I'm looking for? The silver shiny
vac metal.
Vac metal, yeah.
Vac metal, heat and humidity will demolish.
Oh yeah.
I think the plastic expands and contracts underneath it.
Yeah.
With temperature change, but that vac metal can't, or it expands and contracts at a different rate. And that's just wrecks it.
I'm sure that's what that is.
Yeah, I bet it is too. Cool. What do you got?
Yeah, that's the. I mean, that's the concern with doing, vintage stuff. Well, even new stuff. I mean, the new stuff all the time. Which I know, like and you guys heard me talk about that Stinger that come out last year. It feels almost rubbery.
It does, yeah.
But apparently, like I said, they said it was purposely made with a new formula that's supposed to, over time, not age and become brittle. Which I could see it because it was soft.
Yep.
So
it is soft. Yeah.
I don't know. Good thing, bad thing. I don't know.
I don't know.
30 years from now, we'll find out. If we're still here 30 years from now, right? So, but I don't know. Yeah, just these are things that it's like, I don't know though. It's so fun getting it out of the box and putting everything together though. It's just it's like being a kid again, putting the stickers on.
So with the stickers are straight now.
I got to sit. I was able to get it off and get it on there straight now, or pretty straight. It looks pretty.
As a kid, we didn't take that time.
I was a little crooked when I got it on there the first time. and I was afraid to take it back off, but I eased it up enough and just got it turned so it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's
Interesting.
that's the thing. That's the things we have to wonder on. I guess is 20 more years from now is this stuff like this. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, you can see how clean and shiny it is.
Yeah.
But in 20 years from now, am I going to pick it up and just fall to pieces in my hand?
I don't know. But you know what? If it's mint and box, it's doing the exact same thing. So who's out more? The guy that enjoyed them all of these years, or the guy that's gonna sound like a salt shaker one of these days when he picks up the box because it's in 9 trillion pieces.
I can't imagine. I really can't imagine. Even if it's been stored in climate controlled temperatures, I still can't imagine any boxed Defiant, the doors not being broken on those gantry doors with all that weight on them.
I shared those pictures. That was a discussion in a Defiant group, and there was a guy that had one sealed, and he couldn't help but wonder. And he opened the bottom of the box, which you had said that those doors were packed at the bottom of the box. He cut the tape very carefully on the bottom of the box to check, and those doors were shattered inside a mint sealed Defiant.
Wow.
They were shattered inside that box.
I bet he wished he never looked at it, didn't he?
You know what? By the way, I showed you that series of videos where I fixed the lift mechanism on my Defiant. That fix does not work because those gears, those plastic gears, are so old that shaft is about this long. That runs from the crank through the crawler to that, your 2 smaller drive gears plus the main twist gears.
Right.
At the worm drive, right? So your worm drive gear goes underneath it through grooves that are cut in just, for the lack of a better term, the bulkheads in the gantry, right?
Right.
So what ends up happening is that sucker is so heavy that when you start to turn, you turn the crank, that whole shaft starts to bow, right? And all of a sudden that it will bow just so far, and then it starts to set back down. And the minute that it does it, that main gear will jump 2 or 3 teeth on that worm drive. And then all of a sudden your gantry's going up, and it'll go ding, 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 bang. I mean, literally just bang, and it drops down 2 inches. And I've looked at it, and I've looked at it and looked at it. Other than fabricating new lift arms and metal gears, there is absolutely no way of fixing that thing, because even the springs that I fixed the attachments for, those helper springs are just not enough to do it. That stuff is so old now that it's just, I stopped. I just stopped. I cannot fix it. If you have a Defiant that your lift gantry works on, congratulations. It isn't going to much longer. Because
even the one that I when I was a kid, I told you guys about saving up for like a year and ordering one from the Sears catalog. And even back then, brand new, I still had to help it when I was raising it up because it would do just what you said. It would get in as a bang, and pop. And you would have to kind of lift and push as you trying to crank with one hand and hold it with the other. It was a great. I'm sure it seemed like a great design at the time, but the weight is just too heavy. Now you take that shuttle, and
that sucker was the most expensive toy ever designed. In other words, they spent $2.5 million to design that sucker, not build it, just to design it.
Right.
And if you look at the gantry, it's not a mistake that the top of that sucker is actually a handle. Right? It's not a mistake. I'm convinced of it, because you crank that crank, you're pulling that handle at the same time, and you're guiding that up.
Because you have to.
You have to. Because I watched it. I put about the same amount of pressure just laying my forearm against those gantry arms, right? About the same amount of pressure that the gantry and the shuttles are putting on it. And I watched that mechanism I'm turning the crank because I knew what it was doing. I just wanted to see it. Sure enough, that rod bows right up, and it can't bow anymore, and it'll set in the middle, and the second it does, it flips that worm gear, bang, bang, bang. and it'll jump 2 or 3 teeth all at once. And
Mhm.
other than locking that rod down inside that chassis so that it can't bow, you do that, and there's going to be teeth flying off that plastic.
Oh
gear.
yeah.
Yep.
Right? It's just no way it's going to happen. So for those of you that were curious about the fix to the Defiant, no, it didn't work. Am I going to have somebody CNC lift arms and a new gear set? Not doing that either.
No.
So I'm perfectly happy with it the way it is. It looks great.
And if anybody out there thinking about getting one or wants to get a Defiant, here's my advice to you: display it and always keep it in the down position, because if you display it raised up, them gantry doors, it puts pressure on them two pieces on each side. That's what always breaks on them.
Yep.
Because they rest. I mean, they're open, and all the weight of them doors is resting on those two little square pieces.
Yep.
And they'll break.
Yep.
The other thing, you better put a block under the middle of it, because them wheels is going to bow and break.
They'll fold up like a cheap card table. Yep.
I never understood why they didn't put a row of wheels in the middle, or maybe like one kind of big wheel or something, just to help keep the weight off of it.
Yep, that's all it would have taken, because kids weren't pushing this thing around the living room anyways.
Yeah. No, you know what I mean? Your wheels go flying off of it if you try to.
Look at me. I would never ever discourage anyone from having Defiant, because I love my Defiant. That thing is awesome.
Yeah.
But you better know what you're getting into, because those blue doors, I had no choice after about 6 repairs. I had no choice but to rebuild one of those blocks, get everything set, everything repaired, and paint them. I had with etching primer. I had no choice, because that plastic was so brittle that chemically it needed to be strengthened. And the only way I knew of to do that was with self-etching primer, which I did. They're painted blue. They match great to what the original color was. Are they original? No. Do I care? No, because they were going to end up in the trash.
Yeah.
That's what, in about 6 pieces, they were going to end up in the trash. So you know what? Don't save it. How's that? You know what? Save it. Do what you have to do to save it, because we're getting to it. We had this conversation a few weeks ago. There is a master list. We could sit down and do it, right? There is a master list of parts that were lost or broken, right? In every vehicle that was ever made in the entire line. And it's that way universal. It's universally true, right? You could make a master list of everything that's missing and broken, which means that you're going to have tens and tens and tens of thousands of hulls, right, that are never going to be complete. You need to understand it. They're never going to be complete, because there is a finite number of pieces that are not broken or not lost, right? That's a fact.
Yep.
We're all going to get to a point, if we're serious about collecting some of this stuff, you are going to have to make repairs, or it will never be complete and it will never be good for anything, right? That's just a fact. It's just a fact.
Yep.
If you're lucky enough, if you're fortunate enough to have one that's mint, that has no repro stuff, never had a break to it, congratulations. But it's like we were just talking about before, buddy, you're playing Russian roulette with your toys too, because you're up to pick one up off the shelf, and you're not going to be as elite as you thought, because snappo, right? Something's going to go wrong, and you know what?
Very much so.
Enjoy the stuff. You know what? If people want to gripe and complain about this isn't right and this ain't right, most of those people are only trying to pluff the value of their own collections.
Exactly.
They don't care about collecting as a whole. They don't care if the hobby dies, right? As long as they get to say, I have a flag that's $20,000.
Yeah,
good for you, right?
I think a lot of those in these groups that are hollering, "Oh, it ain't OG, it ain't," they get all tore up when they see somebody selling something 3D printed. Is because I guarantee you, probably 90% of them are people that resell.
Yes,
and they're like, okay, I can have this whale for $200. I can sell it for $250 because it's all OG. Or this guy in the booth next to him, he can have a whale that's got a couple of 3D printed parts that makes it look just as good as the other guy, maybe even better since it's newer part. and he'd sell it for $100. Well, people say, well, you know, it really don't bother me. I'm getting it to display and play with, so I'll take the $100 one.
Yep.
And so the guy still sit over here with his $250 one and can't sell it because this other guy's selling them for a lot cheaper with 3D printed parts.
Yep.
Yeah, but
I mean, that's my take on it. That's what I believe.
It's my firm belief that these guys that are so elitist about all of this stuff, they literally are protecting their own pocketbook.
No.
It's like you said, they're either a reseller or they're a collector that's just got their head firmly planted somewhere where it shouldn't be about their collection.
No.
And it just has to be because, well, that's great, but you're one of the few people that are ever going to be in a position to be able to do that, right? It's not even about money. It's about availability.
Yeah.
Right? Because this stuff is disintegrating. Whether we like it or not, it just is.
Quickly.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, I want to know, I mean, how many of them have, you know, a 1965 Mustang or a 1973 Corvette or something, and it's all original parts. I guarantee you they've probably been parts replaced, and it's been refurbished to make it look good.
Every piece of rubber on it's been replaced.
Yeah, to make it, because you want it to look, you don't want to set up on blocks in your yard looking like junk. You want it to look nice. You want it to look brand new.
I've been there, done that with the cars and the motorcycles. Every piece of rubber on it's been changed because it dry rots. It goes away.
Exactly.
So
why shouldn't people be the same way with their toys? I mean, why wouldn't you want it to look its best?
Right.
I see people like, you know, it's got like figures that's got paint wear and all that. Oh, don't touch your paint up on it. Why? What this? Because you're not going to get much fart with it, paint wear on it anyway. You touch your paint up, make it look good, because they're afraid that people's going to say, well, hey, if I can do that with one that's got paint wear that I can buy a lot cheaper, then I'm not going to buy this one that's mint.
I do believe in disclosure. I mean, if you
painted
something, you tell if it's got repro stickers on it. Yeah. You tell, you disclose that. I don't have a problem with that. But this whole notion of, it must be like you're somehow a second or a third class collector because you put a paintbrush to something, or you had to make a repair, or you got a repro set of decals that somehow, some way you're less than. That's idiotic. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
Because like I said, eventually none of this stuff's going to last. I mean,
nope. Nope. These are not copper coins from Rome. They're not going to be around in 2,000 years for somebody. Somebody's not going to open a tomb and go, "Holy cow! Look at all the GI Joe stuff." It's not going to happen. I mean, Shane must be in the. Are you napping or are you freezing?
I was thinking about it. I was thinking about napping, but I'm here.
Your window keeps freezing.
Yeah, it's freezing up some.
I don't know. I don't know. I think I'll say this much. I think modern toys have a much greater chance of surviving a lot longer than the old stuff.
Yeah.
I think the packaging is different. I think the printing is different. I think the plastic is different. I think the paints are different. You realize an awful lot of the paints that were used on these plastic toys are actually corrosive to plastic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
probably lead-based also.
This clutch right here, he's a swivel arm, so he's what? 1.5, version 1.5, right?
Yeah.
1983, I'm going to say. It's just saying on his butt. Can't read it. Anyways, I'm not going to sit here and stare at his butt much longer. But this toy was designed for probably a lifespan of maybe 3 years, right? Because the 9-year-old boy that bought this in 1982 is then going to be 12.
Yeah.
And something else will have caught his eye.
Yep.
So this is right. I mean, seriously. And he loose eye. Anyways.
This one arm breaks and flies across.
Exactly. This guy, this clutch right here has probably outlived his life expectancy by tenfold. Right?
Oh,
He's
yeah.
40
Every
years
bit
old
of
now,
it.
right?
Yeah.
So we got to lighten up, guys. Hey, would you please just enjoy this stuff and stop worrying about every little thing? Because it's kind of ridiculous. I get it. Things like Mickey Mouse Cocos, those are rare and they're legitimately rare. And if you do well enough to have one of those, more power to you. Should you be duplicating that? No. Right. That's just flat out fraud. You see what I'm saying? That was a factory variant but if his holster's got a little flick on it and you touch it with a Sharpie, what could possibly be wrong with that? Seriously. It's just, I don't know. That's my soapbox for the week. I get kind of tired. I get tired of hearing that stuff.
Me and the flag. To me, that's never leaving my position.
Yes. Right.
I'm never going to sell it.
Right.
So what does it matter if a piece or two or three or four is repos? Don't matter one bit to me.
As long as Mel tells whoever she sells it to that after you're dead and gone, then it's okay.
Right.
Right. or at work, whichever comes first.
As good as the repos are now, no one would ever know, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
Why?
they're so good.
I had of course, I understand. Like I said, sometimes I'll get in there just poking the bear just for fun of it, But I know here a while back in one of those groups, they were talking about somebody was selling Mickey Mouse Cobra Commanders, and they said they were so good that you couldn't tell them from the real thing.
Right.
And they were upset because they were like, and I don't know, whoever's making them may be when they're selling them saying, hey, these are repos. I don't know. There was no proof that they weren't telling people, but people were all upset. Well, they better be telling people them's repos. They better not be trying to pass them off. And I tell them, I say, wait, you're telling me you can't tell any difference between them and the original.
Yeah,
the plastic feels the same. Everything looks exactly the same. What does it matter then?
It's not a Rembrandt.
You can't tell the difference. What does it really matter?
Right. It's not a Rembrandt. There were still thousands of these things made. Right. Yeah. You're making a good point when you say that, because if it's so good you can't tell the difference, maybe it's just as valuable.
If a guy always wanted one, now he's got one and he's happy. No harm, no foul. You just make somebody happy. What difference does it make if it's
exactly?
But maybe some of them, they was some of them ready to fight over that. And I said, people, it's just a toy. I mean, when it comes down to it, it's just a toy.
It's just a toy. We're kidults collecting toys here.
Yeah.
I'm not dug much into it, but I've seen where people are talking about someone is reproducing the Supreme Cobra Commander and Regal Cobra Commander.
I saw that.
I saw it.
Selling them, but they're not made by Hasbro. They're made by some other company in China or something.
Yeah.
But everything is so close to the same that you can't really tell the difference. Yeah. But like I said, I've not dug into that, so it's kind of the same thing. The Regal, people are talking about it.
The Supreme Cobra Commander, I think it was selling for like $25.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a website, and it was out of China. The website. But if you didn't get one and you want one, and there's your it's new anyhow. It's not even considered vintage, so it's like worry about that 30 years from now. But
yeah, but how many? Let's look at that. The Riddler figure from one of the countries in South America to the Superpowers line. That was a bootleg. It was a bootleg, folks. A flat-out scam of a bootleg figure. It was a repainted Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look at the value of that sucker now compared to every other figure in that line. That bootleg figure will cost you a fortune compared to everything else in the Superpowers line.
Yeah.
So who's to say, right? I mean, seriously,
it was so good and so popular that when they done the DC Universe, when Matty Collector done the 6-figure set, they did, and they actually took the Green Lantern, Hal Jordan Green Lantern, and repainted it as the Riddler in the 6-inch scale.
Yep.
And even had the Spanish writing on the card.
It was that iconic. It was that iconic of a bootleg. So who's to say, right? I mean, who knows? I don't know.
To each their own,
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Is, you're supposed to be doing it to have fun and make you happy.
Right.
That's what it's about.
I'm trying to pass something on to my grandson, and I'm trying to have fun, right? I'm trying to keep my hands busy, and I'm trying to keep my heart light. Does that make any sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I've spent the last quite a few years of my life as, working in firearms and being an instructor. I don't teach target shooting. I want you to think about that. I do not teach target shooting. I teach human beings how to shoot other human beings.
Right.
I need to lighten up. I mean, this. I'm sorry. This is my world, right? How much time can you spend studying that,
Mm-hmm.
and not want to go? I want to pick up a comic book, or I want to collect a toy, or whatever. You know what I mean? I need some escapism. My faith is even more real than what I've done for work. Do you see what I'm saying? So if I don't want anybody to take this wrong, but sometimes a little bit of escapism from your faith too is not a bad thing, because you just kind of step back and you just get lost for just a little while.
Right.
Just a little while where it's not all the intensity of the good and the bad, because let's face it, in both things, I enjoyed my work. Don't get me wrong. I really did. And I had a lot of fun, and, I made it as light as I could, Hawaiian shirts, the whole bit, because it's an intensely serious, topic. And, you start dealing with this guy's from this agency, and these people are from here, and these LE guys. And, you got to lighten it up. You got to have a little fun. You got to, because if you don't, you'll go crazy.
Right.
I just want to have fun with this. That's all.
Yeah.
I want to take a Sharpie to clutch his beard without somebody having a freaking conniption fit on me. I just want to relax. I don't need all of the intensity all the time. Does it make you guys get it? Everybody listening to it gets it. I don't care what it is you do for work. That's not what I was saying. I'm not setting myself apart, saying I'm special, because I'm not. That's just what life is, right? That's what my life is. Your life is different.
Yep.
Up and down ladders, right? I've been up and down ladders. That can get pretty damned intense.
Oh yeah.
And you're not even dealing with hypotheticals. You're going to fall or you're not.
Right.
I mean, everybody has those things. And, there's people that have office jobs where, one wrong thing on one phone call can cost 200 people their job.
Yep.
Right? We've all got it. So I don't need to transplant all of those intensities into my hobbies, I guess is what I'm saying. And I just don't need, well, I have to tell
my hobbies are my getaway.
Yeah.
A lot of people talk about, I collect Legos also. And for me, building a Lego is therapy.
Yep.
Because I can get my mind on the other things and get it away from the other things I'm thinking about, and it helps me to relax. I mean, it really does.
See, that's the word. You need to get away from the intensity of it, right? You just don't need the intensity of it.
I build things all the time, but it's different when I'm building this Lego because it's relaxing.
Right.
You see it come together quickly as opposed to when I'm building a house. It comes together not as quick. Sometimes it does, but most times it's a slow process, especially when you get to working on the inside of the house.
Yes.
But, it's just, to me, it's just relaxing, and my hobbies is relaxing to me.
That's why I don't do Transformers. Because these new ones, I get stressed out trying to figure out how to. I still haven't been able to transform my Hiss from Megatron into his tank. I still ain't been able to do it.
I have never been able to do Transformers.
I think they're cool. I really do. I love them from an engineering standpoint. I'm absolutely fascinated with some of the stuff that these guys have been able to invent, especially for a toy.
Yeah.
But man, as far as I made it with Transformers was GoBots. And they was like, two or three moves and you're done?
Right.
Yeah.
That was it for me, man.
That's why I never did get none of the triple changers, because I'm like, I barely can turn it from one robot to one thing, let alone two other things.
Right. The Transformers went right. the GoBots would click.
I did that Galvatron. I mean, I spent 45 minutes trying to figure out how to transform it. I could, now that I've done it once, I could probably go back and do it again. But man,
Right.
it's hard. It's so hard looking at a 2-dimensional sheet with directions on it than it is actually. But I mean, I don't know if I showed y'all this the last time. I mean, it's a cool looking figure. I mean,
It is cool.
It's even got the what do you call it? Not the Allspark. That was from the movies. This was the Matrix, I think.
The Matrix of
that goes on there. But I mean, it's an awesome figure. But man, it stressed me out trying to transform it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to show Marshall how to do it, and his attention span's about that long.
Yes,
But,
exactly.
you know, I mean, it's like
I had
What
I bought the first movie Optimus Prime because it was a Peterbilt. It's a beautiful truck, right? Bought that sucker.
Mhm.
I have to tell you, that was nerve-wracking because either way, you're transforming him into robot. Or there's certain parts that are meant to snap together. That sound has always been bad in every other toy line ever. Right? Somehow it's perfectly normal in Transformers, but man, some of those are just like you're waiting to take your hand away to see how many pieces come with it, you know, because some of those are really serious snaps, and it's just like the cranks, and it's like wow.
And that Megatron, the original Megatron, I mean, that's what happened to mine. Both his arms broke off because they were only held by 2 little pieces.
Yeah.
If you wasn't careful, you'd snap them arms right off. That's why the one that I got now is still in the box, and I'm not touching it. I'm not going to transform it. I'm not taking a chance. I said, nope.
Okay, so that'd be an interesting question to pose, wouldn't it? How many of you guys have got Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3 Transformers that are now 40 years old that are meant to be manipulated and move around? How's that plastic holding up?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a serious question. Does anybody know? I mean, think about it. If you come up with a decent answer, maybe we'll have you on next week because I'm curious about that. How's that plastic holding up?
My idea of the perfect transformer is that Optimus Prime that you tell him to transform and he transforms.
Yeah.
I mean, they are like $400, $500, but
Yeah.
Well, that one's
if I was going to get one, that would be the one.
That one's $700. And have you seen the Grimlock that just come out? It's $1,400.
I can't even imagine that.
But man, is it awesome! I mean,
They also
awesome.
have the Optimus Prime trailer now that transforms.
Yeah.
They got the trailer too.
So apparently, it's doing very well.
And the cabinet, it comes in a nice case too. I mean, I don't know if you've watched them unboxing.
It better be.
I'm gonna say something probably gonna get me in trouble, but was it or was it not you guys' experience that the Transformers kids were the rich kids?
Oh yes,
because there were no cheap Transformers.
No. Yeah, that's one of the ones I had was like Bumblebee and Power Glide that were just a little
right.
Sort of like they were just like souped up GoBots basically.
Yeah.
Once again, I had GoBots.
Yeah.
I never had Transformers. GoBots. No.
Now I had a bunch of GoBots. I love the GoBots, but
you can buy them at the local dollar store, and that's what I got. GoBots.
You just pop the arms out and flip the legs down. That's it.
Yep.
They're transforming.
Yep.
I remember the little bitty yellow one they had. All you do is just pull the hood down, pop the head up. There he was.
There he was. Yeah.
I think he's a Volkswagen Beetle, maybe.
That was
like that. And then the leader of the bad GoBots, I don't know what that's called. He was a motorcycle.
Yeah, Psycho,
right?
Pulled his arms off, pulled the wheel off, flipped the bottom legs down, and there he was. It was amazing.
You know, I can't remember what the bad guys were called. I can't remember what the good guys were called in the GoBots.
I don't remember. That was pretty short. That had real short life, didn't it? That was only around for a year and a half. And it kind of went away.
Yeah.
Wasn't one of them a Scooter? I mean, wasn't literally one of them a Scooter?
Yeah, and that was his name, Scooter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so that worked out good.
Tim was one of those rich guys we was talking about, I guess.
Oh, see, Timothy, you just
Timothy.
you had to out yourself, didn't you?
Who is it?
Timothy Patterson.
Oh, okay. I see. I can't see who it is. It just says.
I'm watching it on Facebook because I got sick of not knowing who was talking to me.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, gentlemen, let's wrap it up. You need that book. You need to get the Kickstarter and you need to back that. And as much as you need that book, you need to like and subscribe to this webcast and start watching us and start participating.
Oh yeah.
Most of the time you go, boy, this is boring. Those guys just sit here and talk. We're talking because we're waiting for you guys to talk with us.
Mhm.
Right? Unlike other fan channels where they just yak at you.
Yep.
You know, you got plenty of opportunity here.
Yeah.
Shane actually clicks over the comments once in a while.
All these guys sitting there
When I'm not
watching.
asleep.
Right.
So, man, I can do what they're doing, just sitting around talking. Well, fine. Let us know. We'll put you on the show.
Then come right on and come in here and talk because there's tons of stuff to talk about. I still suspect that August is going to be a quiet month before Ragnarok of the Wallet hits on September 1st. The pre-order apocalypse or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So you know what? Yes. Timothy got in on the Equil raffles, for lack of a better word, last Sunday night with the McFarland figures from CDCC. We both won every one of them that we put in for. He put in for 3. He put in for the Superman figure 2. He got all 3, and I got both of the ones that I went in for. My tracking on Alan Scott says tomorrow, and that's accurate because that was in Georgia as of this morning. My tracking on the Batman also says tomorrow, but it's still sitting in Vegas. So that one is not actually going to make it here tomorrow. I'll have them both this week, anyways. But that was, you know what, that's a cool thing, and that equal thing, that works out pretty good. And I'm not just saying that because I got what I wanted.
Right.
That's a fair way of everybody having a shot at whatever's left over after Comic-Con. So we'll see. To those of you that are having your orders canceled, specifically the Range Vipers, I am hearing mixed reports that Walmart is also saying publicly that is a glitch and that those orders will be reinstated. I am also hearing that Walmart is telling some people that no, your order is just flat out canceled,
Right.
without any explanation as to what difficulties they ran into. So I just don't know what to say on that. Mine, I was notified my order was altered because of competitor price match. They took the price down to 0. But that glitch has been fixed because if I go look at my orders now, they're back up to the $24.97 or whatever it is per figure.
Yep. Mine also.
So yeah, there's something going on with the Walmart system. I just don't know what it is.
I would like to know what store had them for $0 that they were price matching.
That would be pretty awesome, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys' Targets, but I don't have a whole lot of clearance stuff at my Target here because, again, it's still under construction. But I'm hearing that a lot of stuff is on clearance at other Targets. So go check it out. You never know. Might be finding something. Super 7 reaction line figures for $5.
Oh.
Yeah.
That would be kind of cool for if you haven't wanted to pay $20 a piece. Go for it, John.
I was just going to say, I found this for Shane at Ollie's. This is a 10-year-old set that come out in 2013.
That's amazing.
So how it ended up, and from my understanding, what Shane said he'd seen in other groups that they've been other people finding the same set at Ollie's. I don't know if it was
Also the battle platform
somewhere and they just found it or what, but this is the Creo. This is the Hasbro version of Legos, and they're just as good as Legos. They're not like these cheap ones that are out now.
No.
So
I'm gonna have to check for that because that would be cool.
Yeah, if you find these,
They're really nice.
and this set actually has, it's got Snake Eyes and Timber, Hardmaster, two Gray Ninjas, Destro, and the Baroness, with a his tank and basically a dojo.
Nice.
So
I actually picked this one up
And don't say
Today.
Cobra Kai on it though. It's just a different.
That was total nostalgia a couple of months ago.
Huh.
Yep.
It's got Beachhead and Storm Shadow in it. They're
Nice.
really, really nice.
Those are great stuff. And if somebody runs across the Terradrome at Ollie's, you let me know.
You darn right. Buy them all, and I'll buy them all from you.
Yeah.
There you go.
The Terradrome was the only one I was never able to find. And then when I mean, they'd only been out a couple of months, and they started clearing some off, and I'm like, well, I'd love to bought one. I would have paid regular price for it if I could have found it. But,
When they come out, they went by like $80.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's massive.
And it come with Zaymont, and the Series 5 single packs had Tomax. So now I got a Tomax, and he don't have a Zaymont. So he's home. He's sick. He's homesick for his brother, I guess you'd say.
Very
Anybody
cool.
runs across a battle platform and the same stuff, just buy it up, and I'll get it too.
Yeah.
Cool.
The Creos are good though. You can't go wrong with them.
No, I like them.
Nancy's pointing at her watch.
We're over. Lastly, Walmart's is doing their swap overs this week.
Yes.
I've been told that by 3 different stores trying to hunt down McFarlane stuff. Was told that there's a ton of stuff out back, but it's just not being put out front yet because they're switching everything up.
They're doing
So
big,
keep an eye on
huge
that. Huge amounts of clearance coming to.
Oh boy, I love clearance.
Huge amounts of clearance is what I was told. So, with that said, thank you, Wayne. Great interview. That was a good time. Get over there and support that. Like, subscribe, and you know what? Go buy some of them too while you're right there.
Yep.
That'd be a good thing to do. So, gentlemen, until next week, 1st of August, we will see what the week brings. Till then, happy hunting and lighten up. Good night.
Really.
Good night.